We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump.
So let me get this straight. If I vote for a party that can't define what a woman is, I'm no longer ridiculous or crazy. If I vote for a party that wants boys in my daughter's sports and restrooms, I'm no longer ridiculous or crazy. If I vote for a party that thinks they can pander to me using kente cloths and hot sauce, I'm no longer crazy. If I vote for a party that has done nothing but destroy my community for the last 60 years and open the borders in order to replace my vote and destroy my community further, I'm no longer crazy. If I vote for the party that wanted to keep me from voting, wanted to keep Jim Crow, wanted to keep slavery, the party of the Klan, I'm no longer crazy. And I'm no longer crazy or ridiculous if I vote for the candidate who's been in the office as vice president for the last 3.5 years and admitted to having a large part in pushing the harmful policies that have hurt my country, who can't answer basic questions and is quite possibly the worst candidate in American history. Says she's going to bring change while at the same time admitting there's nothing she'd change about the last 3.5 years and made us the laughing stock of the world. And you think I'm the crazy one. I think it's crazy you think I should vote for a candidate based on skin color rather than how their policies will affect my life. It's pretty sick.
All right, y'all, here's your daily reminder not to fall for the Kamala trap.
So now Kamala Harris and the Democrats, they got a new tactic. They got a new strategy. They found that everything else that they're doing is not working. So opposed to trying to run a fair campaign, what they're doing now is using this word called misinformation. So they're trying to fearmonger us once again and say that everything that Donald Trump's saying is misinformation.
Yet, church, there are some who are not acting in the spirit of community. And I am speaking of those who have been literally not telling the truth, lying about people who are working hard to help folks in need, spreading disinformation.
They've already started with the misinformation and the lies.
And some Democrats are starting to believe the disinformation too. Have you noticed how sharply the polls have shifted in Trump's favor over the last couple weeks? With these claims that Trump is surging with black and Latino voters and leading in every single swing state, according to secret internal polls, despite all the Hitler talk. Yes, this race will be far too close. Because unfortunately, we do have a fascist groundswell in parts of this country, mainly among white men, let's be clear, but in small pockets among black and brown men too. This happens to be a global phenomenon as women become more economically independent and seek positions of power.
I'm going to tell you, Madam Vice President, what misinformation is. Misinformation is trying to convince the American people that there are no criminals crossing the border illegally without documentation. That's misinformation. Misinformation is trying to tell the American people that there are no abortions that are performed in the 8th and 9th month across the United States of America, beside those that are for an emergency reason to save the life of the mother. That's misinformation. Misinformation is trying to convince us that you wrote a book, Smart on Crime, without plagiarizing. That's misinformation. Misinformation, that's trying to tell us that Venezuelan gangs are not affecting American cities. That's misinformation. Misinformation, Madam Vice President, is trying to convince the American people that the cost of groceries has risen due to price gouging and not due to inflation. That is misinformation. Misinformation is trying to tell us that during the period that Joe Biden was running for office, was running in this election campaign, that he was healthy and he was just vibrant and he was just as wise as a tack. That's misinformation. When we all knew what our eyes saw, and you knew that too, Madam Vice President. Misinformation is trying to convince us that a grown human being that was born with male parts is somehow not a male anymore. That's misinformation. Misinformation is telling us that we live in a democracy, but we are afraid to vote for someone simply because they are a woman. That is misinformation. So now you tell me which party is the party of misinformation.
Well, that's an easy one to answer. The party that twists good for evil and evil for good. That's who? These radical secularist democrats that do nothing but glorify sin and lawlessness. Ephesians 5 verse 11 says, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. So that's exactly what I'm going to keep on doing. Yeah, I love reacting to clips and debates and dishing out sermons and all that, but I'm also using this God-given platform that I've been blessed with here on YouTube to judge righteously. And if you've been following my channel for any decent amount of time, then you already know I'm not about to let these Trump deranged women on the spew and all these other liberal media outlets just sell you a lie. Have you thinking that Heels Up Harris is some kind of Virgin Mary who's going to save our country? Wrong. If that was the case, then she'd have done it already. But instead, she chose the negligent route that's destroyed and divided our nation the entire past 4 years. Just let illegal criminals run wild and try to set up this new world order to stack up votes and try to replace us legal citizens. Wake up, y'all. She's nothing more than political theater and a stale word salad just waiting to happen.
And when we fight, we win. And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government shouldn't be telling her what to do. One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do. What I call an opportunity economy, so that every American has an opportunity to own a home, to build wealth, and to start a business. So every American has the opportunity to own a home, to build wealth, to start a small business.
You know, when journalists ask me this question, I often will say to them that let's be clear that your underlying premise is not an assumption that I'm supposed to have black men in my back pocket in terms of their vote.
All she does is dodge and deflect every single question that she's asked. And she thinks she's slick trying to run the same Marxist game that these dirty Dems have been running on society for decades, just popping off at the mouth promises, but never deliver on the back end. Do not be deceived.
But if they do go out and vote, they are most likely, according to polls, going to vote for someone like Donald Trump because of mis and disinformation and because of sexism, as we know, with the idea that women are just not as strong as men, as leaders, and this idea that even though Donald Trump is clearly suffering cognitive decline and does not have the mental acuity to be president, he is physically fit to some people, but that is not the same as what it takes to be president.
We've got to double down on doing more interviews and serious interviews, because what I'm hearing from Democratic and Republican business people and a lot of men, and she's got such a big problem with men. I think there's an undercount of the Trump vote. I think there is misogynation in all of this, black and white men. Big problem, but also the business world. They don't think she is serious. They don't think she's a heavyweight.
And all my fellas out here still confused and stuck between a rock and a hard place, it's okay to be an alpha male and vote for another alpha like Donald Trump. Spoiler alert, despite popular misconceptions in this twisted culture we're living in, men were created to lead, to serve and protect the people that we love. And if we're doing our jobs correctly, then no woman should ever have to take on that responsibility. And saying that doesn't make you a misogynist or mean that you hate women like these cackling heads on TV say. No. It means that we know how things run best. We know that when crap hits the fan, it's us dudes on the front lines handling business. We know that real men with balls vote for America First Republicans. Fake women with balls vote for Democrats. So I don't care how much you've been brainwashed into hating Trump for no reason at all. Set that mess aside and vote logically, for real, because voting for Harris is like dookie in your pants and then changing your shirt. Doesn't make no sense. So let's make common sense great again. Let's make America godly moving forward and vote conservative all the way down the ticket. Amen. Let's get it popping.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Yeah.
Look, you all know it. We can't have 4 more years of this. We won't have 4 more years of it. We won't.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
Are they better off now than they were 4 years ago?
Making life more affordable for people. What are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
I grew up a middle-class kid.
I grew up in a middle-class family.
The American dream right now is really elusive.
The American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive.
The American dream is elusive. It's just actually not attainable.
You know, home ownership for too many people in our country now is elusive. You know, gone is the day of everyone thinking they could actually live the American dream.
You know, we grew up, our parents, where they had the ability to somehow believe the American dream was attainable.
Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know what I know.
Prices for everyday things like groceries are still too high.
You know it and I know it.
Prices for everyday things like groceries are still too high. You know it and I know it.
I know prices are too high still. You know prices are too high still. And we have to deal with it. And we need to deal with that.
You have been vice president for 3.5 years. Yeah. The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. Get the hell out of here.
Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, ring the notification bell so you get notified anytime I post a new video. If you like what I'm doing over here and you want to show a little extra love and support, make sure you go check out our website down below in the description section. That way you can get all the awesome shirts that you see me wearing in every single video. They're all made by my smoking hot wife with tons of different designs to choose from. Sizes ranges from itty bitty extra small to big and hefty 5X. I'm sure we got something that you'd like or a great gift for someone that you love. Outside of that, you can always join the Gibson family here on YouTube and become a member by clicking that join button. You can buy me a coffee. You can join the Patreon family. All those links are down below as well. By no means do you have to do any of that. Just showing up and watching my freckle face on your screens for a few minutes, I'm greatly appreciative. I love y'all and I can't thank you enough for rocking with me throughout the years. Until next time, I'll be praying for you. Godspeed. I'm gone.